Thank you. Thank you, Chair Reed and Ranking Member Fisher. Delighted to join you today as we continue to work to return to regular order for the first time in years and pass our funding bills in a responsible way. This hearing is really an important opportunity to make sure we are providing the people who protect us and our staffs and our nation's capital with the resources that they need. Sergeant-at-Arms Gibson, I'd like to thank you and your team for the dedication you all show each and every day. Your office plays a really crucial role keeping the work of the people running smoothly, and we've seen that work continue to evolve and improve since you joined in 2021. The Senate Sergeant-at-Arms helps each of our offices work effectively for the people that we serve by improving the internal Senate communication that you talked about, keeping our technology safe and effective and up to date, preparing for emergencies, and maintaining an open environment for constituents and visitors, and a lot more. Chief Manger, I'd like to thank you and all of the Capitol Police for the work you do to keep everyone who works here safe. Every day at every hour, members of our staff are here. Members of your staff are here keeping an eye out for all of us who work here in the nation's capital and everyone who comes to visit. I'm incredibly grateful to you and all of the Capitol Police officers for working so hard, for putting in late hours like you just talked about, for sacrificing weekends, and a lot more to keep everyone safe. And I know it has certainly not been an easy few years. We owe a lot to both of your agencies, starting with making sure you have the resources to do your jobs. So I'm really glad to have this opportunity to hear more today about your agency's needs for the year ahead. Sergeant-at-Arms Gibson, let me start with you. You know, across the country, our workers are facing some very real barriers to obtaining and retaining employment, including livable wages and quality, affordable child care, critical mental health supports, wellness programs, resources for education and training. And that challenge, I know, is reflected here in the Senate as well. We really rely on the men and women who work hard every day to support this institution, so we need to work to address those barriers. So I wanted to ask you today what programs are most critical to supporting the SSA workforce, and what would they mean for your workforce if they were funded?
So in terms of supporting the workforce, both my own and those who work for offices and committees, our most significant request in this budget is for the Employee Assistance Program. I am requesting 2 additional FTEs. Those are counselors that would support, and I should back up to talk about briefly the significant increase in utilization that we've had, 30% over 2021. In 2021,
30% increase.
30% increase in utilization. 74% of the Senate staff have accessed EAP services across 90% of the Senate offices, for an increase in 2022 of 30% over what we saw in 2021. So hiring these 2 additional FTEs in particular will help with virtual after-hours support for people working in state offices on the West Coast, for instance, or for people who are working later at night or cannot come in during the day because of committee or other work that they're doing. We are also requesting $307,000 to augment wellness resources, and some of that is for purchasing apps that are available, much like is done in the House, nutrition apps, consumer's checkbook, mindfulness apps, but it's also to expand dependent care resources. We would like to contract with Life Care for backup child care and tutoring services. This is a service that would help staff with locating and assist with paying, not pay, co-pay for adult or child care when regular arrangements have fallen through and that staff member must still come to work. The House already provides this support. We would be leveraging their contract to do this, but that is our most significant budget request in terms of taking care of our staff. Other things that we appreciate are the ability to fund Senate-provided professional certification, whether that's licensing for our counselors, for some of our CPAs, project managers. That's been approved periodically by the Senate. It's in effect right now, and we benefit from that tremendously.
Okay, thank you. Those are really important. I appreciate that. And I wanted to ask you about the residential security program that for senators' homes. How is the rollout of that program going? And have you had any chance to review any of the lessons learned that we should know about?
Certainly. So It's gone well. We have a bit of enthusiasm for participation. As I mentioned, we've had 25 surveys so far this year. That's 25%, obviously, of the Senate, a third of the year in, with another 12 requests for services that are, or for assessments that are on the books to have Capitol Police physical security experts go out and identify things that could be done at the homes. We look forward to being able to provide the first installations of some of that additional support later this summer. Some of our initial lessons learned, I think it's been largely positive. I've been able to participate in surveys here in the Washington, D.C. area just to ensure I understood how they were conducted and how that went. So in terms of identifying alarms, intrusion detection systems, a need for duress buttons, floodlights, deadbolts, lockwork, et cetera, it's been very appreciated by those senators and Senate spouses with whom we have worked so far.
Okay, thank you very much. Chief, I know that you and your team have been very focused on addressing the recommendations that resulted from the events of January 6, 2021, and are working to continue to enhance the capabilities to meet emerging mission requirements. Those are all costly initiatives, but I'm glad that we have been working to provide you the resources that you need for that. But I also know that your workforce spends time away from their families and makes a lot of personal sacrifice. You just mentioned that in your comments. I want to make sure we're focused on all their needs as well while we fund those mission-critical items. Over the last couple of years, you've increased your sworn hiring and training to bolster your sworn workforce. Have you found the retention bonuses we were able to fund have helped to curb attrition?
I think there's no question that has helped. I mean, but in addition, the just changing the pay scale, which was done last year, helped as well. And so I think we had 2,000 employees accept it last year. We're getting ready to put it out again, and I expect a similar response. But the difference this year is many of the officers that were hired right after 9/11 are now becoming eligible, and we have between 300 and 400 officers that are eligible to retire now. So I think it's very important for us to not only continue the retention bonuses, but to, as I mentioned earlier, waive the mandatory retirement age up to 60. So hopefully that'll keep some of the officers around for a couple extra years.
Okay. And have you been getting the support you need from the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center?
Absolutely. As you know, during the pandemic, that was the choke point. They shut down for the better part of a year. Yeah. And so we were doing zero hiring, and we're still actually recovering from that. But they have given us all the assistance. In fact, we have multiple classes ongoing for most of the year.
Okay. And I'm really glad that you were able to launch the Wellness Center for members of the Capitol Police, obviously named after Officer Howard Liebengood. As I mentioned in the Emergency Security Supplemental Appropriations Act and in the Omnibus, we were able to provide funding to continue to build on that effort. Are your employees using the in-house employee assistance program?
Yes. I mean, there's always room for improvement. I mean, we're aware that that oftentimes folks that choose public safety for an occupation are hesitant to ask for help, and we're trying to overcome those barriers. But we've had actually a very good response. The center's fully focused on outreach and awareness for all USCP employees, sworn and civilian. So we can continue to track the utilization and the service requests, and we've seen these numbers increasing as time has.
And real quickly, can you just tell us what your future plans for the center are as you try to meet the needs of your employees?
You know, we've got really. We always have to be an employee assistance organization, but I think what makes us unique is we have trauma-informed counselors, so that when we have folks that have gone through a crisis, that we can provide services for them. But we're also making sure that we're listening to the users, listening to our workforce, and say, you know, what is it that you would like, whether it's, yoga, meditation, physical fitness, nutrition coaching, peer support. You know, we're asking our workforce, what is it that you would like that we may not be offering yet?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.